Hello guys, today I'll be showing you how we can replicate a table from one SQL Server instance to another SQL Server instance. We'll be using SQL Replication technology to accomplish this problem. And first of all, we will have a scenario that we will be creating a database, and inside this database we will have one table. Initially we will just create a table with a couple of columns, like we can create an inventory table with an ID and like value. For any replicated table, there should be a primary key. This one we can create as an identity column and make it a primary key. But the requirement for SQL Server replication is only the primary key. Identity seed, this we are using only to optimize the insertion process. For the value, we will just use nvarchar 50 and let's call it inventory. So now we have a source table and there is nothing inside it. And for example, if we want to insert some data here so that this data should be replicated to a same table in another instance on DB2. This instance can be located anywhere. It does not have to be on the same data center. It does not have to be on the same cluster. It can be anywhere. So for example, if we just add like keyboard, mouse, monitor. So we will just have an inventory here, and let's keep that as well. Now we have to make sure that the SQL Server replication is enabled on the server. So let's start with that. We will right click on the replication, and if you have not configured this before, just like this instance, first you have to do is to configure the distribution. Distribution database is one of the system databases for SQL replication, which will handle all the distribution of the transactions from publisher to the subscriber. And by the way, we can, in the large enterprise scenarios, we can create a separate dedicated distributor server. But in this scenario, we'll be using the same publisher as the distributor. Okay, and this is the snapshot folder. Snapshot folders are to create the initial snapshot of the structures which you want to replicate. So for example, right now in this scenario, we want to replicate inventory table from SQL 01 to SQL 02. So a snapshot which will have schema and data for the table inventory in SQL 01. This will be in the form of a script. So those snapshots should be placed in a shared folder. So let's create a path like SQL 01 C drive, and then for example temp, this one, and this will be used for the distribution database, and we'll just make sure that there is no existing file over there for distribution. Yeah, there is nothing, so we are good to go. And this is the publisher database server, and that's all. Now we have created the distributor. So this is the first step, and we can see the distributor data and log files are now created. So after that, once the distribution is configured, now we can create a publication. So a publication is a set of objects which we want to publish, like which we want to replicate from one server to another server. In the wizard, we will choose db1 as the publication. Then for this type of replication, we will be using transactional replication. And there are other types as well, like snapshot isolation. Snapshot publication. And snapshot publication will replicate a complete snapshot for the structure and data every time you replicate the transactions. So for example, if you have a table and it's running snapshots every day, so every day the snapshot of that table will be applied on the destination table. If you have a transactional publication, then each transaction will be replicated to the destination server. And peer-to-peer is if you want to have multi-master replication, like each server will act as a publisher and a subscriber. The last one is the merge replication. If you want two-way transactions to be sent and received to and from subscribers and publishers. So, but in this case, we would just want the simplest way of migrating data from one server to another server for a particular table is transactional replication, and this will be constant, ongoing, like it's not one time. So anytime we insert, update or delete anything on source server, which is SQL 01, it will be replicated to the second instance, SQL 02 db2, and the table will be inventory. We'll go next. So this wizard will display all the tables which have primary keys. So if the table does not have a primary key, it is not available for the replication. And once we select an article, like the object, then we will click on article properties and set properties for highlighted table article, highlighted published article. Here there are some very important and common configurations. If you need, you can change. Is the destination object name. So for example, in the source server, if the table name is inventory and you want to change the destination table name, here you can mention that. And then you can mention here, so for example, if the table name or the object name already exists on the destination, do you want it to drop the existing object and create a new one, or all other options? So for now we want just the default one. And the second option is to call a stored procedure for inserts, updates and deletes. So in this scenario, we need all the insert, updates and delete to be replicated from SQL 01 to SQL 02. But for example, if you want only the inserts to be replicated and not the update or delete, so for example, in this scenario, we will use the call for the insert statements, but we can, for example, skip the updates and skip the deletes as well. But right now we do not want that, so we will just cancel it. But these are the most important and critical configurations we need to change if we need that. Rest we will just click next, and if you want any filtration for your data to be migrated, you can add those as well. Next. And then we will just ask the agent to create a snapshot immediately when we finish the wizard and finish with the creation of the publication. And then we will click next. We'll just provide with the SQL Server agent account, and next, and we'll just put a name, pub inventory, and that's all. So now we have create a publication for this table. This is just halfway done. Now we want this data to be sent to somewhere. So that instance would be a subscription. So now for this publication, we will create a subscription. We will use this publisher. This is the database name, and this is the publication name. Next, if you want to run the agent on the distributor or the subscriber, so the easier way is to handle all the agents at the distributor end. So we will use the push subscriptions. Next is to use the subscriber. So we will add a new subscriber, which is the SQL 02. And then we have to select the database name and click next. We have to provide with the security credentials. And if you want to schedule it, you can. Otherwise, you can run it constantly. So we'll choose constantly. And that would be all. We want to initialize it with a snapshot. Yes. And we will see if the agent has started the snapshot or not. And then we will see if it is applied or not. And that would be all. So once the subscription is created, ideally, the publication will push the snapshot to subscribers, and it will constantly replicate all the data. So to see what is going on inside the replication, we have to launch the replication monitor. First, we have to see if the snapshot agent is completed. Yes, it is completed. It has generated the snapshot for one article. Then we will go for the subscriptions. Here we will see if that particular snapshot was applied to the instance or not. And here we can see it has applied the schema and all the 3 rows. Now on the destination server, we will just refresh it, and we will see if everything is there or not. So we can see now from the source server, which was SQL 01, all the data is already migrated to SQL 02, and this is the destination server. And lastly, we will just verify if, for example, we add anything, it should replicate to the server. So first we will perform an insert. Okay, and let's see how much time it takes. It was very fast, by the way. And now we will just update the existing data, which is like monitor. And let's see if we have the updates. I'm constantly refreshing the data. I'm pressing F5. Okay, now it is, the updates are also replicated, and the last one is to check the deletion. So for example, if we delete any of the row, so for example, if we delete the second row, and let's see if this is migrated. Yes, it is perfectly migrated. And similarly, on the replication monitor, we will see all the transactions which are being replicated will be displayed here. If there are any undistributed transactions, for any reason, it will be displayed here. So that was a short demo. I hope this will help you. Thank you so much, and give me all the questions in the comments. Thank you. Bye-bye.